I am sitting on a bench at Pic Tor, overlooking Matlock in the background, which I'm becoming very fond of. It's a very lovely, hilly, mixed, honest working town here in the Derbyshire Dales. I love it. I've just had breakfast, 2 eggs on toast and coffee and the papers in the cafe in the park, which is becoming my new Sunday service. But before that, coffee on the stroke of 8 o'clock when Costa Coffee opened with friends I've not seen for a year who have been to meditation in the past in Bakewell. I've not seen them since I moved to the tiny house. And before that, meditation with John and a visitor who's lost his sister yesterday at 6 o'clock as normal. So my new Sunday routine here in the tiny house at land is shaping up very agreeably, and this walk, which is between you and me, it's not a very strenuous walk, but it does give a rather splendid view over the town. And I'm also sitting by a war memorial, which I will show you. On a prominent location, Pic Tor. The inscription reads 1914 to 1919, in grateful and loving remembrance of our men, no women, who gave their lives for honour and freedom. And a quote, don't know who the quote is from, probably one of the generals. He lives in fame that died in virtue's cause. And engraved on 3 sides of the monument are the names of about 180 men who died in virtue's cause in the First World War, and another 60 odd names in the Second World War. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with honouring or remembering the dead. What's rather tragic is that from here I can read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 foxes and 1, 2, 3, 4 Bagshaws. So whole generations of young men wiped out in the trenches. And I suppose I am on thin ice here. I have paid my respects in the past at a similar war memorial in Chapeltown, where I used to live, in a bit of a council squat. Actually, it was great. I had the whole place to myself, but in a place called Chapeltown, which was famous for its engineering company. And the engineering company, as well as making machinery, its name will come to me shortly, they were also famous for Isle, that rough toilet paper you remember from school days. Why on earth that was thought suitable as a toilet paper is beyond me. And at that war memorial in Chapeltown, there are similarly the names of hundreds of men who died in the First World War. At the peak of this engineering company at the turn of the 20th century in Chapeltown, there were 7,000 people, mostly men, I guess, employed in this engineering works whose name escapes me, but that's okay. And I have always struggled, and still do, with the idea of dying for virtue's cause, when of course in every town and village, probably in every country that we have ever been at war with or imposed our military will on, there will be similar, I guess, monuments to the dead from the other side. Well, maybe I am the exception here. I don't know if I would die. Well, I know I wouldn't die for my country. I'd die for my planet. I might die for humanity. I might get shot as a coward or a deserter first, but I cannot imagine any scenario where faced with the alternative to shoot or be shot, I would choose the former, but maybe I'm just far too naive and haven't really worked that one through. At the Chapeltown Memorial, I remember coming to terms with the fact that not all of those young men who died went in a jingoistic, shall we say, frame of mind, like it was a jolly jape, or even as donkeys, to be fair. It's a rather derogatory term, real men led by donkeys, or is it the other way around? And I dwelt on it really for quite a long time in the park at that moment, and had a conversation with some of the names on the war memorial there in Chapeltown about what it was like when they were either volunteered and why, or called up and how they felt. And of course it made me appreciate that there would be many young men who perhaps were even pacifists, or because of, let's say, because of their religious beliefs, were against war on whatever moral grounds, and yet they still felt it was their duty, yes, their duty, to support their community, their nation, their king at the time, I guess. But it still bothers me. I'm too old to be called up now, but my son is probably just too old, but in a way that's not the point, is it? Because I know plenty of late teenage and 20-something young men who, if things turn rather sour in any flashpoint in the world, Ukraine or Gaza at the moment, could be called up. I might be overstating it. But why do I rail against this? Not just about the carnage or the lives and the families destroyed by it. At the last count, 1,200 Israelis and 12 or 14,000 civilians in Gaza in the past 5 weeks. For what? Only if you see your fellow man, woman, child as other. Only if you see them as the enemy, of course. Only if you accept the rhetoric that they are out to destroy you, will you destroy them. And where does that get us in the long run? I just can't see the point. I tread carefully here because no doubt some of you watching have sons or daughters in the military right now, and perhaps even know someone yourself who has given their life in some conflict zone, Afghanistan or Iraq, in the past decade or so. So I do tread carefully, but it's only if we see ourselves as separate from, other than, different from, good, bad, good, evil, black, white. And in the world of, I can only say, spirit, there are no such distinctions. It is all one. And which of us amongst us is going to shoot yourself in the foot or worse? I have to accept I've never been faced with the threat of violence or invasion or a terrorist attack, and I don't know how I would react to that. Of course, if my kids were hostages. So I might be talking through my backside, so forgive me. Whilst I have strong feelings about it, you can tell I am not, shall we say, I hope I'm not, what's the word, bigoted? Or is it the opposite of bigoted? Too fixed anyway. And maybe it's time somebody put me right on these matters, so please do bring me up short on my rather naive musings. Bye for now.